Hello and welcome. My name's Angie Holden and I'm the blogger behind The Country Chic Cottage. Cricut recently released a monogram maker and we're here to talk about that today. So if you love all things monogram, or if you find monograms hard to make or hard to find the style, the fonts, etc. that you would like for your monograms, this just might help you. Now, this feature is in Cricut Design Space. However, it is exclusive to Cricut Access members. So you need a Cricut Access subscription to use the monogram maker. You might be able to see the monogram maker, play around with it, but it's just like some other features in Cricut. When you go to click Make It, you do need to be a paying subscriber in order to use that feature. So that might be a bummer, but it might be another reason to stack on of why you might want Cricut Access, especially if you do monograms a lot. So try watching this video, seeing what the monogram maker is about, how it works, all the features that are included, and then you can kind of decide whether it's for you or not and whether or not you want to give it a try. So let's head to Cricut Design Space and check out that monogram maker. So when you open up Cricut Design Space on desktop, the monogram will be on the left and you just click on monogram. This pulls up the monogram maker. So there are tons of different things we can do with this monogram maker. So let's take a look at some monograms we can make. So the first thing is something that I'm not wild about. So the monogram order should be first initial, last initial, middle initial. So if I put, let's use SVG as an example. If I put SVG here and I click on this monogram, that's incorrect. It should be SGV because G in this case is our last name. So you do have to alter this up here as you are working, because I would want this one to read SGV as well as this one because that's the correct way for a monogram. However, if I go to some of these other monogram types, so let's say I've clicked over to sports, I clicked on the bowling pin and it just has one initial. If it only had one, I might want that just to be my last initial or just my first. So you would have to alter that up here to be the initial you wanted it to be. So let's say I wanted it to be a G. I would need to alter that there. So just be aware of that you might have to alter these initials depending on what you actually want in the monogram. So then let's go back to classic, and you can see a bunch of classic monograms here, and you can pick from different circles and types. And let's go back to putting the SGV in there with the G being my last name, let's say. And you can look at different types by scrolling through here. These arrow buttons also scroll through whatever is on this row. The styles of text are at the bottom. You can scroll through those, pick whichever ones that you like, then change here for what you want around your monogram. Then you can change this is modern, you can change to elegant, and again, flip through what you would like it to look like, as well as what you want around it. There are different ones that have florals, floral designs. Go to handwritten, you can see a bunch of handwritten fonts. Again, there are some that are a bit fancier, some that are plainer. We can go to vintage, and you can see a bunch of different styles there. So you're just really hunting for what you want your monogram to look like. You can also head on over to thematic and pick from a variety of styles. Botanicals here, so a bunch of floral designs. And these, you could pick the floral and then pick sort of the font up here at the top. And again, I would probably change the letter to be whatever I wanted it to be, a single letter if I was going to use something like this version. Some really gorgeous things even for weddings here. And again, you can change to whatever you want. Decorative, tons of different options there. Occasions, so different occasions as well as holidays. Interests, and finally sports. You can also sort these by operation type. So if you want to cut and draw, you can pick cut and draw. And you may see different options now that I've changed to cut and draw than from when I was just on cut or was on any. So you might play around, change these options to see everything that's available. If I want cut only, I would pick cut. And you can see the options that are a cut option. Let me go ahead and design a monogram and then we'll take a look at adding that to our canvas. So let's say this is the monogram that I like. I can now click Add to Canvas. Now that pulls it up onto the canvas And now we can resize it to fit whatever we're gonna put it on. So what I recommend is actually measuring the blank that you're gonna put it on and resizing it here to fit that blank. This is showing as 2 cuts. So we have the cut for the inner circle and the cut for the outer circle. So I could click both and click attach in order for them to cut out of the same color. So basically make any alterations to the design at this point and then click make it. You will need to tell it whether you're doing it on the mat or without the mat or on the card mat, just depending on what machine you're using. And then you'll see your monogram on your mat. Now you would just continue with whatever instructions for the material you're using. For instance, if I was putting this on a tote bag and using HTV, I would mirror at this point. So you would go ahead and follow the instructions for the material from this point forward. Now, since this is a new feature, it is rolling out slowly. If you don't see it on your Cricut Design Space account yet, it will be there eventually. They're just rolling it out slowly to the accounts just to troubleshoot any issues. I didn't specifically see any issues except for the fact when I put my initials in that top box, it didn't exactly know what order I wanted them in, depending on the monogram I chose. So I would just watch that with your initials. Remember, monogram should be first initial on the left, and then that middle initial should be larger, and it should be your last name, the initial for your last name. And then the last initial in a monogram is actually your middle initial. And usually the first and the last are smaller in that case. So when you're looking at a monogram, you might want to think about that and the order it's in. And if they're all the same size, maybe rearranging that order to first, middle, last initial. So it just depends on the look you want. But when people are looking at a monogram, especially if the letter in the center is larger, they are going to expect that letter in the center to be for your last name. So that was the only thing weird about the monogram maker is I didn't know which order to put the initials in at the top because Design Space didn't seem to know that I wanted that big initial to be my last initial. So that was the only little glitch I saw. Otherwise, I really liked the monogram maker. So I have in the past downloaded monogram fonts. I have several on my computer. But if you don't want to mess with all that, you don't want to go out and find the fonts, the monogram maker is a great alternative. Now, can you do this, all of this without the monogram maker? 100%. Just go out, find some monogram fonts for like those circle monograms. Then you can easily put your initials in and make that monogram. Even the ones in a circle, like they are super easy to make on your own. And then you just need to find the monogram frames that go around it from like a site that has free SVGs or purchase your SVGs, either way. Now, if you make things to sell, the monogram maker could be a huge lifesaver because it is a quick and easy way to make monograms in a wide variety of styles. So you saw me scroll through the styles and saw how many styles there were. So it would actually be a quick and easy way to make those for items that you are going to sell. And anything that isn't a monogram maker should fall under the Cricut Angel policy, and you can read more about that on the Cricut website. So now all that's left to do is to head out and make some things with a monogram. So if you try this new feature, I would love to hear from you in the comment section. And if you have any questions about the monogram maker in general, please ask those in the comment section below. If this video helped you, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, head on over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. We have videos just like this one every single week, and trust me, you don't want to miss any of those. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.